Good morning, everybody. This morning, what we're going to focus on is our ears and our listening. And the reason for that, and the reason for this particular exercise, it's going to help us to distinguish the songs amidst the cacophony. So there's often people tell me this time of year when they're learning birdsong, they have a hard time just listening for that one song that they hear it and then it's gone and they hear all these other sounds and it's hard to pick it out. And um, so I thought of an exercise for us to do today to help us really clarify who we're hearing. And it also is going to help us deepen our own connection with the world around us. So y'all ready? So it looks like a bunch of you are outside and some are inside. That's great. So for the inside folks, are you all, Ann and Cheryl, are you able to open a window? You have a
Yes.
window open? All right. Nice, Anne. Okay, great. Perfect. All right. So anyone who's watching this, you can, if you are inside, just open a window if you can, and face a window is even better. We might have option of closing our eyes today, but whatever you prefer. So let's just first start by feeling ourselves in this place. So just notice your body. Let's just take stock of our own body first. Just being attentive to what your body is perceiving in this moment. And we'll start first on the outside. That might be a little bit easier. So just notice the sensations on your skin. If there's a slight breeze, or if you might be feeling the sensation of your pants against your belly or your shirt against your shoulders. Just notice what your skin is picking up on. And then after that, after you've become aware of your skin, we're going to go inside for a little bit. And just take stock. Notice what sensations you're feeling inside your body. Notice how your muscles feel. Notice how your bones are feeling. And then if you want to explore even deeper, you can get into the organs, so feeling your heart and your lungs, your intestines. Stop by your eyeballs for a little bit, inner ear. So just explore around your body and just notice without any judgment yet of good or bad. Just notice how it's feeling. Nice work. So now if you want to shift anything, if your posture was not quite exactly the way you might want to be sitting, you can adjust your posture. If you noticed your breath was maybe a little shallow, you can deepen your breath right now if you'd like to. Taking a nice deep breath in and smell the air, noticing how it might be different from the last time you sat in this place. And then on your next exhale, I want you just to imagine that your feet being connected to the earth right now. Again, doesn't matter if they're actually touching the earth or if they're on the floor, but just imagining that they are connected to the earth. And you're going to send your roots as if you're a big giant tree down into the earth. I just want you to explore that sensation and the area down beneath your feet for just a few moments, just noticing what comes up for you when you send your awareness down to the earth beneath you. Okay, good work. So now we'll use our eyes for a moment. So go ahead and find something off in the distance for your eyes to focus on. You don't have to get too attached to what it is. It could be a little nook in a tree, it could be a window in a car, whatever it is for you. Let your eyes focus on that right now. And then slowly and incrementally, you're going to be expanding your vision in all directions. So you're going to stay focused on that one point, and then slowly you're going to ripple outward. And you're just going to do your best to try to see as far out as you can possibly see in all directions. And what may happen for some of you is that your vision starts to get a little blurry, and that's perfectly fine. That's actually desired. So do your best to give up that control of needing to stay in focus for just a little bit here. And just let your vision get nice and soft. And then just notice what starts to happen inside your body. Notice what you start to perceive. Notice how things start to change a little bit when you look at the world in this way. And we'll just stay in this posture for just a moment or two. Good work. So now we're going to shift our attention to our ears, and it's going to be really up to you. So some of you may choose to have your eyes closed for this practice, and others may choose to keep your eyes open. So whichever one works best for you. If you'd like to have your eyes closed, you can do that now. If you'd like to have your eyes open, go ahead and leave them open. And if you are going to keep them open, it's my recommendation to do your best to stay in owl eyes, which is that practice we just did. So stay in that softened vision, not focusing on anything in particular, because it's really our ears that we want to be giving attention to right now. So we're going to begin by listening for the most dominant sound. And when I say that, what I mean is not necessarily the loudest sound, but the sound that's most consistent, maybe even the most mundane, just this background noise. It could be, if you're inside, it could be like the sound of your refrigerator or air conditioner. If you're outside, maybe it's the wind, something that's very consistent. So I want you to first find the most consistent sound you can find right now, and just really get to know it for a moment. Listen to it deeply. Become friends with that sound for just a few moments. If you notice your eyes or your mind starting to wander and different thoughts coming into your mind, just go ahead and bring yourself back to that consistent sound that you're hearing. Let all of your awareness just be absorbed in that one sound right now. It's as if you were just being bathed in that sound. And then what we're going to do is one at a time, we're going to listen for, it doesn't matter what sound it is, but just the next sound that comes into your awareness. I want you to give it your attention for at least 1 or 2 breaths. So give it a full breath of attention, maybe 2, maybe 3, but you're still being attentive to that consistent sound. And we're just going to slowly layer individual sounds onto this consistent sound. Just really slowly, slowly, slowly exploring your environment. And I want you, again, just for at least 1, maybe 3, even more breaths, give your attention to the new sound that arises. And then once you've done that, you can go explore and listen for another sound. And just allow the landscape to start to introduce itself to you this morning. And just remember, it's okay if they are human-made sounds. It doesn't have to be just nature sounds. Human-made sounds are part of our experience, so allow them just to be. And when you hear the sounds that you hear, see if you can listen to them without any judgment, as if this is the first time you heard this sound, and you're just curious. You're really curious about that sound. Now, at this point, you probably have a handful of different sounds that you've been listening to. And so, do your best at this point to not forget the sounds that you've already heard and allow yourself to layer those. So, when a new sound comes in, you're just going to layer it onto like the big gathering that you're having right now in your mind. So you're welcoming these new sounds in, and you're just listening for how they show up, and just see how they interact. So you might hear you have the background sound, and another sound comes in. You give it a good breath or two or three, and another sound comes in, but don't forget the other ones that you heard about. Still see if you can reach for them and be attentive to them while you're listening for a new sound. You can think about it as a map. So you're mapping out the sounds on your landscape. And it's like you're telling a story to yourself. So there's the baseline sound. And then each time a new sound comes in, you're layering it onto that map. And you can travel back to all the other sounds that you've been hearing this morning and remembering where they were and where you heard them. And now for the next little bit, if you haven't already done this, imagine, just think about right now, what would it sound like if you could hear a little sprout emerging from the earth next to you? So you're going to be listening for sounds. It would be that quiet. So just start to explore the landscape without forgetting about the sounds you've already connected with. Start to layer on the really, really quiet and really subtle sounds. Explore your landscape and see if you can find them. Good work. Now that you've been listening for a little while to these really subtle and quiet sounds, I want you now just to tap into your feelings and notice the next time you hear a sound. Just see if there's a sensation in your body. See if there's any feeling associated with that sound. We're going to begin to explore the felt sense of the world around us, seeing if we can perceive something before we hear it or see it. Can we feel it first? Welcome, Gabrielle. We're listening right now to our environment, listening for the common sounds and also layering onto those really subtle sounds. Imagine that you could hear the breath of an animal or an insect that's approaching, or even sitting under a shrub not too far away from you. Really stretch your ears. Good work. So if your eyes have been closed, keep them closed for a moment longer. And we're going to start to bring back into our awareness some of the more prominent sounds. So search your landscape again for the sounds that are a bit louder, remembering the map that you drew in your mind of the various sounds you connected with this morning. And then allow them to just become part of your awareness right now, remembering them. And traveling all the way back to that sound that we first started with, the one that was the most consistent, the most common, sort of mundane sound in the background. Go ahead and bring yourself back to that sound and let yourself just stay with it for a moment or two. Good work. And so now when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. And if there was a point that you were looking at when we first started Owl Eyes, you can focus on that point again. Just let your eyes adjust and become accustomed to the world through your eyes right now, bringing back that sense. Nice work. And so you can take the next moment or two and offer a sense of gratitude or a blessing to those ones that you connected with this morning. So, in your own way, just say thanks. All right. Nice job, everybody. So, for those who need to go, you're welcome to head out now. Thank you so much for joining. And for anyone who wants to stay, yeah, it's so good to see your faces. So you can turn your video on and you can stay for our chat at the end right now. And I'd love to hear from folks. If anyone wants to, has anything to share from this practice this morning, you can just go ahead and raise your hand. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, Gabrielle, please. Oops, Gabrielle, you're muted.
Sorry. I was having technical difficulties, so it was, it is April Fool's Day today. But what was really interesting to me, I was really distracted by the human mechanical noises. There are planes going over and there are cars going by, and I was really having trouble distinguishing the birds, and I could not get to the real subtle stuff. And then finally, with the subtle stuff, I heard mourning doves, but way in the distance. And they've been really up close and personal for the last couple of weeks. And you said something about how does it make you feel? And I had this story about mourning doves when I was first getting divorced. And I thought it was Morning. And I was really liked the sound. And then I realized it was mourning as in crying mourning. And so I just did this really big piece of completion with my ex. And so I heard these mourning doves way in the distance, and it brought back some of those feelings of crying. But then I realized it's also about mourning, like Morning, like it's like resurrection, sort of. So it was very mixed, this mixture of these opposite feelings, listening to them way in the distance. So it was wonderful.
Yeah, so beautiful. And what stands out from your story to me is just relating it to that story of your ex is that they were way in the distance, like that they weren't right up close where maybe
Right?
they used to be. That emotion wasn't so close. It's far away now, but
Yeah.
there's still maybe a little bit that you can hear, but it's not touching you in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for this. That was wonderful. Even if I came in late, I got so much out of it.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for your story. Hmm. Anyone else want to share their story from this morning? Yeah, Anne, please.
It's loud. I mean, it was like you've got the human noises, and I know the frogs are out there, and I know that's like the longest consistent sound, but the birds are loud. Right now, I've got the tornado test sirens going off, so I'm glad that didn't come earlier. It's Monday at noon, the first Monday of the month, and they test sirens. So I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't have to. But it was, the birds were loud, and it was great. So you just try to go back. I know the frogs are there, but those robins are just yelling, even their wings, just landing someplace. They're loud. The robins, the mourning doves, I heard mine for the first time here today. So it was like, even though the robins are making different sounds, those are all robins. So it was like trying to bring your mind back to those sounds and finding somebody else. But everybody was loud today. That's okay.
Yeah. That's rad. And I was just thinking about, sometimes it is work or effort to try to hear one sound at a time, and then to bring our mind back too, because not only is this a practice with the birds, it's a practice for ourselves, to deepen our own connection to the earth and to quiet our minds, and that's work. That can be an effort sometimes to really have our minds be quiet and not have the stories playing out. So that's why we sit. That's why we do this. It's practice. You have to keep showing up and keep doing it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's rad. And I love that you have frogs where you are that are consistent. That's beautiful sound to be hearing in the background. Yeah, beautiful background music. Awesome. There's the thing that inspired me. I did this for myself yesterday, and what inspired me, I was listening to a video from Thich Nhat Hanh the other night, and he spoke about where his words were. He was just reminding people to come home, to not have to be running, in our minds, not sometimes physically. Sometimes we physically run to play to or from places, but it was a lot of in our mind running. And he said, to begin by listening to the music of your breath. And I thought that was so beautiful, just thinking about that our breath has music. When we inhale and we exhale, there's music to that. And right now I'm in the midst of teaching the birdsong class, and so we're focused all on birdsong, the music of the birds. And just to think that our own breath, just our breath alone, not even our voice, but our own breath has music to it. So when I was sitting yesterday, I was doing my best to listen to the music of my breath. And that's when all these subtle sounds started to come up. And I did it again this morning at the beach. I went to watch the sunrise at the beach this morning. And I swear I could hear these little things percolating up next to me. And I was just finally had to open my eyes to be like, what is it? And I couldn't see anything. I don't know. I think it really was under the ground. But it's just really magic what starts to, it's all those things that we do every week, when we really start to give our attention to these elements around us, the depth that we can go to with them, and just really starting with our own breath. That's all you got to do. You can just start right there. Yeah. Anyone else? Cheryl or Joy, you want to share anything from this morning? Yeah, please.
When I first started listening to the background sound, it was the heater going, because I had opened the window and I thought, oh, and I got all in my head about, oh, I'm heating the grate out of doors. This is madness. And then I just pushed that all aside and just listened to the sound. And the first of the birds that I could hear was the red breasted nuthatches, and they're way, way, way off in the distance when they started. And I really like them a lot. I like that nasally honky sound way, way off in the distance. And it just fills me with great joy when I hear it, because I just learned that sound this year, and I went, oh, this is a whole new sound for me, and it's been here, but I've never heard it before. How could that possibly be? So it was lovely. And then I heard the oak titmouses doing their did it, did it, did it. And they were far away, but they came closer. And one was right outside the window and saying, did it, did it. And each bird that layered over the next bird had a totally different sound. And I was sitting and listening and thinking, could that be a robin? Could that possibly be a robin? It doesn't sound like the robin, but it's kind of got that kind of a melodious tune. And then I kept thinking and thinking, what could it possibly be? And I have absolutely no idea, and it's perfectly okay. So I just love spending the time to just quietly sit and listen to the birds, mostly the birds. There's a little bit of hammering, and there was a teeny bit of car traffic, but the car traffic also sounds like the roaring of the ocean, which isn't that far away. So I pretend always that it's the roaring of the ocean, just to give me that kind of effervescent feeling. So this is a really important part of the week for me. And even if I don't do it on Monday, I'll sit and do it again on Tuesday, if that's when the recording comes in, so that I can have that moment where I walk with you through what I hear, see, feel, touch, everything. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Cheryl, you're welcome. So welcome. Thank you for walking us through the map of your environment there. And in some ways, I see it as a gift. There's one meditation teacher who loves to listen to the air conditioning unit wherever she is, because that's her background noise. That's the noise that's going to be consistent. She can count on it to stay consistent. And it's just this hum, and there's no judgment for her. There's no judgment about it. So she can easily listen to that, you know? And so in some ways, maybe that heater was, a blessing in disguise. It was your background consistent noise, that just allows you to keep coming back to that as you layer on the other pieces, with that. I'm curious how many other folks were able, I know it might be harder for some of you indoors. However, Cheryl, you had a bird come right to your window. How many other people were able to hear bird wings, like the flutter of a wing when it flew by? I think, Gabrielle, didn't you say you did? I know, Anne, yeah, you did, right? Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's one of the most special things I love doing when my eyes are closed, is to hear the bird wings like really close. And it's like, who is that? And I always wonder if I could like know a bird by just the sound of its wings. That'd be an amazing gift to have. Yeah. Joy, was there anything you wanted to share this morning?
Sure. Thank you, Kristi. That was great. Yeah, it's very noisy here actually, because it's really windy this morning. So I've got the traffic in the background and then the wind, which comes and goes. But the birds are starting to come back here now. So there's a lot more bird noise than there has been in the last few weeks, which is really wonderful. So a lot, but then I suddenly hear a chickadee, and oh, there's the old friend that's been here all the winter, still here. So that's always special too. And I've had robins and red-winged blackbirds this morning I could hear, and the usual crows and blue jays all the time. But yes, it's really nice to be able to try and layer them like you suggest, and I think I can hear far more that way. Somehow or other, it seems to really bring everything together. So that was a great practice this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know as the spring progresses, it really does become like louder. There's just so many voices out there, and sometimes it can be challenging to know who is there. And I think when we start to just quiet our minds, first listening to our breath, and then maybe finding that consistent sound, and then just slowly one at a time, like making it okay that it's just one at a time, finding the voices and then really like keying into them, because it's again like everything's happening all around you, all this titmouse and this thing over there, the jay and then this and the crow and the whatever, and it's just like, oh yeah, but there's a ruby crown kinglet right there, it's singing, and just to hear that ruby crown kinglet song, for just a moment or two, and then layering in the blackbirds and layering in the next one. And yeah, nice job everybody today. Thanks for playing today and inspiring me to keep doing this. So thank y'all. Really appreciate it. Oh, one thing I wanted to tell you, I know some of you, I've been so grateful that this is always a free practice to everyone. And I do offer an option for people who want to contribute to it on a monthly or whatever basis. And I switched recently the operating system that I use for my business. And so I'm going to need to send out a request from all of you again. So if you'd like to continue to contribute, at some point, I need to set up the pages and all that kind of stuff. But at some point, I will send that out to people. So you can just, if you get that, don't be surprised. Like, I thought I already subscribed to this. It's just like, that's why it's coming again. And again, it's only if you want to. It's just up to you. Yeah. So thank you, everybody, and have a really beautiful rest of your week. Many blessings to you all. See you next. Oh, we won't be seeing next week. Next week, we're going to let everyone go do the solstice, or not the solstice, but the eclipse, however they want to do that. So we're going to pause next week, and then, oh, you did it, Anne. You did what Della did. You're our Della. Can we do it? Can we all do it? How did you do that? I don't know. You and Della.
There's a setting that it's on. I've got an iPad, and I figured out. I did FaceTime with my kids, and they're like, "Mom, you're sending stuff out," but mine's on an iPad. And when you do the heart,
and it
and
sends out hearts. That's so kind of Della.
Thumbs up. Look at that.
Look at that.
I'm magic.
You are magic, Anne. Well, what a beautiful way to end.
But I don't know how I did it, and I don't know how to undo it.
Magic. I love the magic one.
Magic. It's just magic. Oh my gosh. I gotta go do laundry.